Hello out there, everybody. Manny here at Area 503. And I hope you all have been well since our last video. Today I want to talk to you all about a recent video published by the European Space Agency, or ESA. The video seems innocent enough on the surface, but I wanted to play it for you guys and talk about it just a little bit, because I personally feel like something more is going on. But let's take a look at the video together, then you can tell me what you think.
Hello, my name is Nicole Kaplan and I'm a research fellow in astrobiology at ESA. I'm going to answer some of your questions about this exciting field of space science. When astrobiologists talk about the limits of life, we're referring to the known boundaries that life on Earth, so life as we know it, can survive.
That's right, we are talking about life on our planet, because the only forms of life that we know about, at least officially, is on Earth, right? So I have to agree with you.
These physical and chemical conditions include temperature, radiation, water availability, and toxicity of metals in the environment, to name a few.
And I'm still agreeing with you, pal. We're just two like-minded friends having a casual conversation.
We all know that different living organisms have different requirements for these things. For example, you and I need around 8 glasses of water a day. But that's going to be quite different for, say, a fruit fly or a cactus.
Really? We're gonna hinge the whole basis of our friendly relationship upon that? The fact that a human being requires more water than a fruit fly or a cactus? Isn't that just like saying, hey buddy, did you know that the sky is blue, water's wet, and snow is cold? Yeah, I like you. You know, normally when people talk to me like that, the next thing that they try to do is sell me a car. Well, let's see what kind of a car ESA's selling.
Did you know that there are some life forms that can actually survive periods of time without water? You might think of a camel with its water-storing hump on its back. But if you think smaller, much smaller, there are some microorganisms that can survive complete desiccation. And this means that they can be totally dried out and go into a dormant or sleeping state. They can wake up again once they're hydrated with water.
Tardigrade? Yeah, I did know about them little suckers actually. The first private spacecraft to be launched to the moon actually crashed carrying a bunch of those things, along with some human DNA and a large selection of books and other documents, just last year. I really have no idea why a private spacecraft was launched to the moon carrying a bunch of tardigrade, human DNA, and books. But doesn't that sound like a backup library or something like that? I guess you'd have to ask the folks who sent the thing up there. It's true, folks. You can't make this stuff up. Anyhow.
Microbial life dominate all sorts of extreme environments. The current world champion for upper temperatures for life on our planet is a strain of archaea, found in a hydrothermal vent. It's known as strain 121. Any idea why it was called that?
Strain 121? Well, no. I have no idea what it's called because I'm not a biologist, but you seem smart and I like you. We haven't disagreed yet, so I guess I'll just have to trust what you tell me, right?
Maybe you already guessed. It is able to survive and even reproduce at 121 degrees Celsius. And it's this sort of life, which we call extremophile life, that astrobiologists are interested in.
Now I'm completely lost. If there is zero evidence of life outside of the Earth, at least officially, why are astrobiologists so interested in these little tardigrade all of a sudden? And I'm starting to get that used car salesman feeling again. I thought we were just two friends having a nice, agreeable conversation. But look at the body language right here. First, she looks up and to the right like she's remembering her line or a statistic or something. No problem there, that's perfectly normal. But watch what she does next. Right here, she looks off screen for a second, and then she locks eyes with someone who's standing off camera, as if for approval. That's weird. Is it a director or some sort of handler? Then she looks down with this sour look on her face like, did I just do that? Oh well, in for a penny, in for a pound. But this next part is the strangest part so far. She points up to the sky while she's saying, this form of life.
And it's this sort of life.
Why is she pointing towards space if we're talking about tardigrade that form here on Earth? Now wait a minute, what did you say earlier?
Microbial life dominate all sorts of extreme environments. The current world champion for upper temperatures for life on our planet is a strain of archaea, found in a hydrothermal vent.
Is that a crater on the Earth or the Moon? I mean, that's obviously a cave, but that could be anywhere. And again, an ambiguous photo. Is that the desert on Earth or is that Mars? And if we're talking about microbial life here on Earth, why are you pointing up to the sky and space when you're talking about it? What are you really trying to say here? Are we talking about alien life? Are we talking about disclosure? What is going on here?
It's known as strain 121. Any idea why it was called that? Maybe you already guessed. It is able to survive and even reproduce at 121 degrees Celsius. And it's this sort of life, which we call extremophile life, that astrobiologists are interested in to support theories of panspermia, where microorganisms might have needed to survive long trips around our galaxy on comets or asteroids to go and bring life to planetary bodies, perhaps including our very own home planet.
Panspermia, the idea that life actually started forming in the early universe, and that this life was spread among the early forming solar systems basically by being freeze-dried and then packed into comets and meteorites and then flung out there. Whee! Panspermia is hardly a new theory. It's been around for quite some time, and it's even been mentioned in popular culture. In fact, Joni Mitchell sang in her song Woodstock,
stardust, billion-year-old carbon, we are golden.
And of course, Carl Sagan referred to it when he said, the nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium of our teeth, the iron in our blood, the carbon in our apple pies, we're all made in the interior of collapsing stars. We are made of star stuff. So the notion of life from other stars has been around for quite some time. Why is ESA trying to sell this old idea as a new concept? I don't get it, but it's kind of fishy. Alright, what are you trying to sell us?
Microorganisms might have needed to survive long trips around our galaxy on comets or asteroids to go and bring life to planetary bodies, perhaps including our very own home planet.
Microorganisms might have made? Might? Oh, there you go. We subtly hear them say that ESA thinks that life on Earth may have started on other planets or moons. Perhaps. Maybe. Could have possibly.
In the same way that life is transferred around different habitats on planet Earth, you might like to consider that space can also act as one big system, and life is a part of it. And in some ways, that's already true. Have you ever seen a shooting star? Meteor showers are common and can be observed from many parts of the world. We already know that there has been, and still is, an exchange of materials between Earth and Mars, because we have evidence from Martian meteorites that landed here. Space is such an active place, so it's quite possible that some life forms hitched a ride from one planet to another.
Now you have it, folks. There's the car. How do you like the wheels on that baby? ESA is going to subtly hint at the idea that human beings came from Mars. Perhaps. Possibly. Could have. And you will notice that this is the only time in the video that she has paused talking.
We already know that there has been, and still is, an exchange of materials between Earth and Mars, because we have evidence from Martian meteorites that landed here.
This is a subtle hint that she has just made an undeniable statement. It's psychology, it's scripted, it's manipulation. Yuck. Now here comes the hard sell. This is where she's going to tell us something about another theory, but what she's really telling us here is this is the parts that are true. She just can't talk about it. We are going to tell you the truth, but we're going to hide it behind statements like perhaps, maybe, and possibly, or we think or we would like to assume. This is how drip feed disclosure works. Listen.
Space is such an active place, so it's quite possible that some life forms hitched a ride from one planet to another. The difficulty is that such a ride would be impossible for you or me, because of the extreme conditions.
Well, there it is, folks. Life may have come from Mars, and it may still be doing so. Doesn't that imply that there is currently life on Mars?
Because of the extreme conditions. That's why astrobiologists are studying many types of microscopic extremophiles to test out their limits and to see if maybe life was imported here from somewhere else in space.
There it is. Maybe life was imported here from somewhere else. And you will notice that Saturn is being displayed here when she says it this time. So we're not talking about other galaxies. We're not talking about other solar systems even. We're talking about right here in our own backyard.
If we're planning on exploring other planets or icy moons that we think may contain or once contained life.
That's Enceladus. I know that moon. Back in episode 38, I said I wouldn't be surprised if when we got there to explore, we find a thick layer of ice and underneath it, an ocean full of life. Apparently ESA didn't watch that episode. If you want to watch it, check the link in the description below.
Then how do we make sure that we don't contaminate it? It's a very important thing to consider. The Committee on Space Research, COSPAR, has formulated a planetary protection policy to define different destinations in space and allocate them with appropriate levels of protection.
I'm glad to know that people are at least talking about how to avoid contaminating other planets. However, knowing what I know about human beings, I think that the only way to guarantee that we're not going to contaminate a planet is to just not go there.
It's a very important thing to consider. The Committee on Space Research, COSPAR, has formulated a planetary protection policy to define different destinations in space and allocate them with appropriate levels of protection. For example, the Sun is in a category which says it's not of interest for life detection missions. So we don't have to put in special measures to make sure that we're not going to contaminate it. But it's a different story for Mars or other planets we think might harbour life.
Here there is no perhaps, no maybe, no possibility. Listen to that one more time.
But it's a different story for Mars or other planets we think might harbour life.
Mars or other planets we think might harbor life. And then they show Mars and Jupiter. But it's not Jupiter that they're talking about here. It's this tiny little guy, Europa, another icy moon just like Enceladus that I believe has an ocean full of life beneath its frozen surface. I mean, they're not even being subtle at this point. They are beating us over our heads right now with the notion that they fully expect to find life in our solar system soon, if they haven't found it already. And if there's life outside Earth, in our solar system, on several moons and planets, then there has to be life in other parts of the galaxy and the universe, based upon the sheer probability of the number of stars. It is just that simple, folks. We cannot be alone. Well, let's listen to the end of her sales pitch anyways.
Other planets we think might harbour life. ESA has adopted this policy and acts on behalf of its member states to ensure that the requirements are met for all missions the agency is flying to or contributing to. By employing the use of clean rooms for our spacecraft and following strict sterilization protocols, we can minimize the risk of contaminating other places and explore space in a considered way.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's the whole thing from ESA. It started out like a friendly conversation between two old pals, and it ended with a not-so-subtle indication that there is life outside of the Earth in our solar system. Is this just a casual video talking about Panspermia? Why? Are we sending missions to Europa and Enceladus to search for life? Just tell us, why all the hemming and hawing and running around? Just tell us alien life exists. We already know it. What do you guys think? Am I reading too much into this? Do you think that ESA is just having a friendly conversation with the public? Tell me what you think in the comments section below. I'm dying to know what you guys think about all this. And the link for the original full ESA video is in the description below, so if you want to go watch it, check out the whole thing. Go check out all the information for yourself, then make up your own mind. But come back and tell me what you think afterwards. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, hit the button down below and ring the bell. Come on, people, what you waiting for? Well, guys, for now, that's all I got on alien life and disclosure. I'll catch y'all next time.
As always, this has been Manny at Area 503. And I wish you all the best until we meet again. And I am out of here to continue my search for universal truth.
In fact, Joni Mitchell sang in her song Woodstock, "We are stardust, we are golden." That's how I'd sing it, but I'm not Joni Mitchell.